Do you have a business that serves your local community? Are you trying to take your business to the next level? Do you struggle to understand your business numbers? Well, stop working harder thinking you're going to make more money. That's not how it works. Each week, we go over how to understand and leverage your business numbers to not only create more sales, but more importantly, how to create more profits. Remember, it isn't about how much you sell. It's about how much you keep at the end of the day. My name is Tammy, and I'm on a mission to help badass business owners like yourself put more money in your pocket. So whether you're a badass or a badass in the making, let's get this party started. Hey, badass business owners, welcome back to the show. And today we want to dive in and really understand what exactly is working on your business. This is something that we've all heard. You need to work on your business, not just in your business. And a lot of times what we know is we know the basics of it, meaning that, hey, I need to not always be a technician. I need to not always be in there getting my hands dirty and making stuff happen. I can't spend all of my time doing the doing, if you will. That I need to spend time on, growing the business and all the other aspects of the business. That's like the general understanding of what people have with working on the business. The problem is there's a whole nother layer that goes to that. Once people start dedicating the time to work on the business is, what should I be doing? What should my time be spent doing? And in our next part of the series of the eMyth Revisited, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that you want to be focusing your time and attention on to help take your business to the next level. Because if you recall, one of the biggest things we want to do is, in order to make your business more efficient and therefore more profitable, we have to figure out, how do we help your business run more on its own? One of the sayings that he talks about in there is, your business is not your life. The purpose of your life is not to serve your business, but rather for your business to serve you and your life. Now, doesn't that feel 10 times better? How many of you wake up every single day feeling like your business is owning you? That your business is controlling every moment. It's telling you what you need to do, where you need to go, how long you need to be there, how late you're going to get home that night. It's like the business is in control, not you in control of the business. And that is very common, very typical. A lot of times our businesses kind of take off and become this monster that we've created, and we love it, and we're addicted to the rush of it all and the profits, the sales and everything else, but we become to where the business kind of takes over, and we forgot that the whole reason that we started the business was for us to have more control, because we wanted to try to set our hours. We wanted to try to set the income that we did. We wanted to get rid of the boss. We wanted to be able to have options. But unfortunately, several years, first year, 2 years, 5 years, could be 10 years into your business, you find out that's not the case. So what we want to do is we want to say, hey, what should we be working on, quote unquote, on our business? Therefore, we can gain our life back. And we're able to control the business versus the business controlling us. All right, so that's what we want to kind of talk about a little bit today. And we want to dive into the principles that Michael Gerber brings up in his book. Since this is kind of a deep dive, if you're new to the podcast, we're kind of on a multi-arc series where we're kind of just walking through the book and taking out some of the core concepts and taking a deeper dive in how you can relate it to your business. But I would have done these episodes anyways, because every concept that I'm talking about in these episodes are things that I also strongly believe in. Now, in order to kind of relate what he's going to talk about to it, is we have to keep in mind one of the things that he really tries to preach is for us to go down this franchise model type of thing where you have multiple units, even though you have no plans to have multiple units. Some of you do, but you might have multiple crews. You might have different people working for you. Remember, it's not about you scaling your business to where you have multiple units. It's not about you scaling your business to where you have multiple employees. What it's doing is, and the whole focus is, how can you think like somebody who does? because in order for them to have multiple units, in order for them to have multiple crews or teams, in order for them to have multiple employees, they can't do it all, obviously. So therefore, they need to have the processes and systems in place in order to achieve that. So even if your goal is to stay a solopreneur and it's just you in the business, you still want to put in the same concept of your business being able to run on its own. And even if you're the person doing it, you're only having to do it for so many hours a week, whereas so much of the business is just on autopilot and able to take care of itself. So whether you plan to stay one or you plan to have multiple individuals, these core principles that I'm about to walk through would still apply to you. You would just tweak them to fit what it is that you're doing. But remember, this whole thing, and we're really going to start getting into the meat of the processes of what you want to put into place to make your business run more efficient. So over the next couple of episodes, I think that you're going to find we're going to dive into that even more. But for today, what I want to do is I want to share the 6 core principles that he has for your business for when you're working on your business and what you want to put your time and attention into. And the first one that he talks about is he wants you to make sure that you are providing consistent value to your customers, to your employees, to your suppliers, to everybody that you touch and what they can expect. One of the things that really can mess people up is that they have a different experience every single time that they touch you, even though the end result is the same, where it's a great install, it's a great product, whatever the case may be. But if it's a different, it happens differently every single time, it kind of messes you up. It's just like when you go into a restaurant or to some other place of business, and maybe one time you have great customer service, then the next time you have terrible customer service. The product or whatever you went there for is still the same. So, it's like, okay, well, I got what I came for, but my experience was different every single time. So for example, you might go to a restaurant and the food is good, and one time you have amazing customer service, and for whatever reason, that food tastes 10 times better because you had such great service. Whereas you could go another time and the food's good, but yet you kind of still walk away feeling because people were kind of rude. They didn't they didn't acknowledge you when you walked in or whatever. It was the entire experience that kind of left you a little stale. So what he's talking about is the fact that how can you put processes in place? How can you put systems in place that really help ensure that your customer is getting the exact same experience every single time? And same thing, your employees, do they have, is it a Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde kind of experience with you as their leader? Are you one way one day and a different way the next day? Do you give them bonuses one quarter, but you don't do it the next quarter? Are you, is there any rhyme or reason to what it is that you're doing? Do they understand it? If you do pizza 2 weeks in a row and then the third week you don't do pizza, but you don't explain it, they're going to go, well, wait a minute, I thought we were having pizza every Friday, whatever the case may be. You want to make sure that you're consistent and people understand the consistency and what it takes to be able to get that consistency, because people really tie that into value. In their mind, that's what they're paying for, not just that product, not just that service, whatever the case may be. The whole enchilada, if you will, since I keep using food here, the whole enchilada is what they're expecting to pay for, and that's part of that whole value sequence to which they are enjoying. The next one that he talks about is that you create a business that is operated by people with the lowest skill level. Now, this one you kind of have to step back and say, well, wait a minute here. I'm not trying to get, people that don't know what the heck they're doing. That's not what he's talking about. What he's talking about is, let's go back to what we talked a lot about in the last episode, which is, because he uses McDonald's as an example throughout the course of the entire book. And how many people, including those listening right now, worked at McDonald's at one point or time, or know somebody that worked at McDonald's? For a lot of people, McDonald's was their very first job. And if you think about somebody with their very first job, they're kind of clueless. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to do next. They barely know how to say hi to people. It's very awkward. And if you think about McDonald's, it's a revolving door because a lot of people don't spend their career there. McDonald's is one of those weird things. You're either going to work there for like 6 months or you're going to work there for like 20 years. It's kind of an interesting operation. But what McDonald's had to do and what Ray Kroc realized is he needed to make this so simple that anybody could step in and pick up, and that customer coming through the door wouldn't recognize if it had been their first day, their 30th day, or their 90th day. Now, obviously, there's certain things that we pick up with confidence and everything else that we know somebody's been there for a while. But in the end, he needed to make sure that the systems kept working for people regardless of how long they had been there. And what he's talking about is in your business, you need to do the same thing. So in most cases, can you hire someone off of the street and then be able to jump right in your business, not miss a beat? Now, it's not necessarily saying that if you have a business that you need people with some technical experience, that you're not hiring them. But keep in mind, people come to us when they've had experience with different habits, if you will. They come to us with good habits. They come to us with bad habits. But if your business already has in place what that process should be, then no matter what they're coming in with, they're going to be able to pick up in the business, not miss a beat. So what you want to do is you want to set up your operating manual, your systems, everything that you do, assuming lowest level. And then they can come in and they go, oh, wow, those are easy to do. No problem. And it's funny because if you think about it, it should be a no-brainer that you're going to smile and say hi to customers. But what's funny is you'd be shocked at how many people don't do that, right? So unfortunately, you have to put in place something that says you will smile and greet every single customer. Even though it seems like a no-brainer, but that's the thing. A lot of people, that's not their gig. That's not something they have to kind of be reminded of that. Let's say you hire somebody that's been in the field working on their own forever and a day. They haven't been in front of customers. You know what? You may have to remind them to do that because they haven't had to do it. And that's really what it's referring to is how can we take and make our business so simple that no matter who walks in, no matter who steps in, they're able to pick up and go from there. So don't take it as an affront to somebody or being mean or anything like that. That's not what this whole thing is about. It's mainly that they can pick it up and they can go from there. One of the things he also talks about is that small business owners prefer highly skilled people because we think that it's going to make our job easier. And what we do is we tend to delegate to them and we're saying, hey, they've got all this experience. I don't have to babysit them. And that's who I want. Well, the problem is they kind of go off and do their own thing. And without having those bumpers in place, without having those guidelines in place, they're going to go off and do what they want to do, not necessarily what you want to have done. And next thing you know, that, if they feel like it, they'll do it. If they don't feel like it, they're not going to do it. They'll do it to the level of expectation they have set, not necessarily the level of expectation you have set. So just because you hire somebody with great experience and, you can't just bring them in and say, hey, I'm going to wash my hands of them after that because they should be able to know what to do. Most of the time, whenever you rattle the sentence to yourself, well, they should know what to do. You have to stop and ask yourself because 9 times out of 10, yeah, they should know, but did you ever tell them? Do you have it so ingrained in your business that there's no doubt whatsoever what they should have done? When I think back to my early days in Home Depot, one of the things that from day one that Home Depot was really big on was saying hi to everybody. Now, you might be a new shopper at Home Depot and you're like, God, no one ever says hi to us. Hopefully they still are. But back then, oh my gosh, you were held accountable. You were written up. You had stuff happen to you. It was known so well that you acknowledged every single person that walked by, whether they were an employee, whether they were a vendor. Matter of fact, when they opened stores, during the process of opening the store when there was no customers, we had to say hi to every single person we passed, employee, vendor, somebody who came in to put up something. And the whole reason is to get that habit going. So that way, when the doors opened, there was no doubt that you would say hi to every single customer. So what's your business like? Do your people have, that same sense of urgency that you know what, no matter what, it is a bare minimum. You are going to say hi and acknowledge every single customer. That was for people like myself that are introverts that don't necessarily like that. I mean, it was drilled into my head to the point where I would go to grocery stores or any place I went, I was saying hi to everybody. And you feel like a dork because you're getting on an elevator, you're saying hi to people. You go into a store, you say hi to people. You know, it's just, you just do that because you just knew that you had no other option in the business. And I laugh back to those early days. And actually, the whole 22 years that I was there, it was something. Matter of fact, when I stopped working there, I put it in place in my Baskin Robbins. My kids had to shout. I made it a game to where they had to say hi to people before I did, or otherwise, you know, I was going to get on them. And that was because I wanted to make sure. That's the one thing that I thought really separated out Home Depot. And I wanted to make sure that in my ice cream shop, the same thing happened, that people knew they had to acknowledge people and say hi to them before they got 2 feet from that door. That was just the way that it was. So ask yourself, you know, what are those same processes that you have in place that people know have to be the same every single time? The next concept that he talks about is you need a business model that will stand out as impeccable order. Main thing that he's talking about there is your house organized? When I say house, I mean your business. Is your business organized? You know, are people going to come in one day and it's going to be clean and the next day it's going to be filthy? The first time you show up to their house, you know, you're pressed clean and your truck is clean, and the next time you come in, you're filthy and you're tracking dirt through their house. That the first time you come in, you're wearing booties, and the next time you're not wearing booties on your shoes. You know, stuff like that. You need to make sure that things are, you know, when someone comes into a customer service desk or talks to you on the phone, you know, do you have an order to the way that you handle it? So maybe you go from point A to point B to point C, but the next time they use your business, they're going from A to D and then back to B, and then they're like, what the heck is going on? Think about times when you shop in other businesses and, you know, you have an expectation, once again, of what it should flow like, and it's completely different. You know, to go back to McDonald's for a second, how many people, I don't know if yours has this or not, but a lot of the McDonald's nowadays have those ordering machines on the inside. Well, it throws people off because for years and years and years, since they were kids, they were going up to the counter, and now someone's directing them over to this automated machine. It was like, whoa, what happened here? Or the first time we introduced self-checkout registers, same thing. You know, just make sure that your business is in order. Number 4, we've touched on this a little bit already, the use of operations manuals. Listen, operation manuals are huge because it makes no doubt as to expectations. So when you go to hold somebody accountable, the neat thing about having an operations manual is you can always go back and you can refer to it. You can have an employee manual and you need to have an operations manual. And here's the cool thing. It will change. It will tweak. You just take the pictures out, put it in a 3-ring binder, take out pages as you update them. But it gives people a sense of this is what you do from A to B. If you go into McDonald's or you go into any fast food place for that matter, you're going to find a book somewhere that walks people through how to make everything and what the expectations of what it should look like and how much everything should weigh and everything that you put on it. You know, I had my Baskin Robbins one that walked through every single item that we made that was a manual of what they were supposed to do. I had an employee manual at the back desk, so if they ever wondered what the expectations were of the business. You know, Home Depot, we had a big, thick 6-inch operations manual that every time something would come up that was unique and different in the store, the first thing we would do is go grab the operations manual and read up on what the expectations were of the company before we proceeded forward. Not that anybody's going to read the entire thing or memorize it or anything like that. But if ever something came up that was outside of the norm, it was a book that could be referenced to say, hey, what should happen? What are the expectations as to what should happen? So having an operations manual is something that is tedious, time consuming, but you don't have to do it all in one shot. You can just take one part of your business, write that out, then, like I said, stick it in a 3-ring binder, and then another time do another section of it, and you just continue to build it. And over the course of a year, you're going to have one hell of an operations manual that any of your employees or anyone else can pick up and do. It's just, written documentation, written account of what should be done and how it should be done. It's a great process to have for your business. Let's see here. Number 5, uniformly predictable service to the customer. I'm going to not dive too much into this one because I really talked about it in the first part where I was talking about consistency. You've heard me say this over and over through all of this. I think it's a huge theme. The customer needs to know what they're going to get every single time. They need to have the same experience every single time, and it needs to be an amazing experience every single time. I've talked about that. I'm going to continue to weave that in. I talk about it all the time. Now, the 6th one he puts on here, he talks about utilizing uniform color, dress code, facilities, and he goes into this whole section about color and how color reacts to different ways. The main thing that you want to try to get out of this particular section is that I think it goes back to that same consistency. It just lets them know that, hey, this is, the same branding, that everything's the same, because what happens, it allows them to be able to know it's you and what to get. So whether it's the same shirts and that, if you're wearing shirts that are yellow and yet your vehicle is wrapped in brown and then your business card is in blue, it's that consistency that they really don't really link everything, that you kind of got your stuff together. That doesn't mean go out and change everything. It just means that, hey, pick something and be consistent with it. And that's the biggest thing that they want to do, is that, that you have that consistency so that your customers will know that you are you and that what they're going to get every single time. That's really what the core of all of this is. So basically, to go back to what the beginning was, what exactly is working on your business versus in your business, you want to start asking yourself certain questions. And I'm going to end with this. You want to ask yourself certain questions. 1, how can I get my business to work but without me? Okay. How can I get my business to work but without me? That's a huge question that really is going to cause you to stop and say, wow, what do I need to put into place? How can I get my people to work but without my constant interference? One of the things that causes a lot of time waste for some of you that have employees is them constantly stopping to ask you questions on what to do next. Okay, there's a great example of something that you need to work on. You need to create those checklists. You need to create that operations manual, if you will, of what should they do, what are the expectations, so that they can continue to work. So that way, if they get stuck or they go, hey, I wonder what's next, they just go to that and ask themselves. So you want to ask yourself, how can I get my people to work but without my constant interference? How can I systematize my business in such a way that it would replicate 5,000 times? So that way the 5,000th unit works just as well as the first. So like I said, even if you're only going to be yourself, maybe you're going to have 2 crews, maybe you're going to have 3 crews, but you still want to ask yourself, pretend you have them, even though you don't have them today. What you want to do is ask yourself, what if I did? Let's pretend I did create a 2nd crew, or I created a 3rd crew. What has to be true so that they give the exact same thing every single time they touch one of my customers? That no matter which of these crews showed up to my place of business, that to the customer's house, they would get the exact same thing. No matter how many employees I hired, if you've got individuals that go out to people's houses, same thing. What has to be true? What do you have to do to put into place so that it's very systematic? The people know exactly what it is that they should be able to do. Once again, the whole thing is you want to claim your life back. All right. So what you want to do is you want to say, what is it that I need to do to get my life back so that my business is not running me? I'm running the business. So, I mean, if there's anything, and I think this is, I don't know what chapter I'm in, but my main thing that I want to get across to you is when it comes to working on the business, that's really what you're looking for. At the end of the day, working on the business is just taking pauses and asking yourself, how can I make this so seamless that anybody can walk in and pick it up? If you were to, like I said, have to step out of your business for whatever reason tomorrow, someone could step right in and the business would keep running. And all they had to do was pick up your processes and your systems that you put into place, and it's going to run just as smoothly. That the expectations are there. if you think about it, that's what every single franchise, that's what every multi-box retailer has to do, is in order to give that consistency from place to place to place, they have to have those checklists and those manuals in place, and they have to have the systems in place and the processes in place to be able to allow that to happen. So you want to look at your business the exact same way. So when you're asking yourself, what should you be spending your time on? That's what you should be spending your time on. Stepping back, asking yourself, what can I do today that's going to help my business get one step closer to working well without me, and be more systematic. All right. With that, I know I'm starting to rattle. I'm saying the same thing. I don't mean to. I'm really just trying to help get it into your head that no matter what your size, no matter what the number of employees are, the key to you creating more time for yourself, if you do it for nothing else, just to get your time back and not have to live in your business 24/7, you want to put these things in place. But I'm telling you, it also leads you to more money, because once you're able to bring in other individuals or expand your team, you can take on more sales. But here's the thing, you can take on all the sales in the world. If it doesn't work its way to the bottom line, into the profits, then you're just losing money, because people cost money. Your number one expense is always going to be your people. So you have to figure out, how do you make those people and those processes as efficient as possible, so this way you can put as much money as possible to the bottom line and you're not throwing away money. So that's the biggest thing it all comes down to, is claiming back your time and making more money. So if for nothing else, that's what this is all about. When you're working on your business and working on your systems and your processes, it's about claiming your time back and putting more money to the bottom line. All right, I'm done rattling. I'm out of here, and I want you guys to get out there, and I want you to kick some butt. And don't forget, if you want to join this journey with us as we go through the eMyth Revisited, there is a link in the show notes. It is an affiliate link. It doesn't cost you any more money. The book's like $11. Just read 5, 10, 20 minutes a day. That's all I'm asking you to do is just dive in and start learning some of these little tweaks you can make to your business that you're going to make more money. This is one of those books that if you just picked it up, once a year, you're going to be in a different place, and you're going to find that you're going to have different takeaways, and you're going to make different tweaks in your business, and we'll keep going. So there's some good stuff in there. You may not agree with everything, and that's going to be typical of everything. But my whole theory is this: any book that you ever buy, any program that you ever do, all it takes is one good nugget, and it's going to more than make up for the time and money that you put into it. Because, for example, let's just say you pick this book up and you spent a couple weeks reading it, 15, 20 minutes a week, but you picked up one nugget that made you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars along the way. Guess what? It was 100% worth it for you, wasn't it? Because that's what we're looking for, to improve, because that's what this is about, is us constantly improving. And I'm still here, even though I said I was leaving, and I really mean it this time. Bye for now. Hey, before you go, if you're looking to learn more about your business numbers, then check out the Know Your Business Numbers course, where we take a deeper dive into the key numbers, the calculations, the reports that will help you take your business to the next level. My mission is to help everyone love their business numbers. Yes, even including those of you that hate math. So much profit is hidden inside of your business numbers, and I want you to create some awesome profits. So check out the link in the show notes, or head on over to the knowyourbusinessnumberscourse.com. Once again, knowyourbusinessnumberscourse.com. Come join me. Let's go ahead and work on building your profits.